Welcome to Section 5, Video 3, setting up our level ending actor. In this video, we are going to set up and create our level ending actor. So first, we're going to create a new C++ class of type actor in our gameplay elements folder. It will be of type actor, and we will name this level end actor. So first, let's fix our source file's include path to our header file by adding in gameplay elements /. And at the same time, we can also remove this primary B can never tick line of code because we won't be ticking in this actor, as well as removing the tick function altogether and the begin play function. So inside of our header, we are declaring a box component and a uBillboard component, and using the billboard component as our root, or naming it root, and our box component as our collision box, which we will be attaching to our root. The reason for why this is a billboard component is because these components are like scene components that can be easily seen in the editor and selected, and it's a sort of ease of use component, which you will see after we compile it and bring this actor into the level. It is not visible in the game, but it is visible in the editor. Here we are declaring an fname variable, which is similar to a string and text variable, but they are different for specific reasons. The main differences between string, name, and text variables are that texts are 40 bytes of memory, but they can be modified in code, such as adding to the current text and such, and localizing automatically. Strings are 16 bytes, but can be modified and are not case sensitive, while names, which is our level to go variable, are 8 bytes and cannot be modified and are case sensitive. So once we confirm a name, we cannot actually append to it or remove specific characters from it. We are stuck with the name that we have given it, unless you want to reset the whole thing, which is just make it equal to a new name. Here we are declaring our overlap begin function for the collision box component. So when we overlap the player, open the level to go to. Let's create our definition for on-back begin overlap. And let's go into our source file and start adding some code in there. Here we are just adding the libraries for the two components that we are using, as well as the player's library and the gameplay statics function library. The engine.h file, which we are using, is a smaller version of the regular engine.h file, which would cause IntelliSense to load much slower and have a bunch of other extra code that we won't be using or needing. So this is a sort of smaller version that Unreal or Epic have made specifically for this purpose, for faster development and such. Inside of our constructor, we are creating and setting our billboard component as the root component, and then setting the root component in the same line. Then we are creating our collision box, and then attaching it to our root component, or the root, and then binding our onComponent begin overlap dynamic delegate to our onBox overlap begin function. And then we are setting the default level to go to name to a generic string, which will be map name. So here we are actually checking if the other actor is a player by casting, because casts can also return the Boolean value, or they can also return a pointer, and if the pointer is valid or not, then we'll continue in this if statement. So this is a sort of Boolean if we choose to, which will return either success or failure if this other actor, which is an input parameter, if this other actor is of type a player character, then it will continue into the if statement. If not, then we will skip over it and nothing will happen. Then we are checking if our level to go to is a valid map. So what we do is we convert it to a string by adding the .toString, which is a function, and saving that as another string variable called mapName, and inputting that into this function, which is within the engine for checking if a map is valid or not. If it is not valid, then we print out a debug message and then exit the function. But if it is valid, we'll skip over this if statement and not run any of this code, and just open the level like we are supposed to. Now go to Build and rebuild our project, and we'll test this in the editor. Now that it's finished compiling, let's test this by, instead of creating a blueprint class of our level and actor, we can just actually click and drag it into the level, because these are C++ actors, where we won't be inheriting from blueprint, we'll just be inheriting straight from the C++ actor, and thus it mitigates sort of extra work that we have to do. The reason for why we did it with a bunch of the other actors is because we made different versions or we edited some values, that sort of thing. If you're just going to drag it into the level one time for that one level, just drag it in there from the C++ class instead of making a blueprint class, for ease of use. I'm going to place mine around this table, and then to edit the box size, we can go into the components in our details panel and select the collision box and actually change the box extent in the X, Y, and Z. Make sure to select the base instance so that way we can move around the whole actor, or you can deselect the whole thing by hitting the escape key and then selecting our billboard, which makes it much easier to select than just selecting these box lines. Let's change the name to our map main menu. And if we hit play, and we walk over to the table, or where you put your box, it loads the main menu, and I can quit the desktop and it will close the app. Now what if the map is incorrect? Let's test that. I'm going to reset this back to default, because I still have it saved in my clipboard so I can paste it back in. Currently it says map name, so it should not exist. And as you can see as I close this, inside of our output log, we can see a warning saying, warning, map name does not exist. In the next video, we will be setting up our pause menu widget.